Over the past few weeks, I've been feeling very low and generally unmotivated to work on my project. I even got to a point in which I started questioning myself whether I could make games, whether I could make the art for the games, the music, and I really started to feel more and more insecure. However, as you guys know, in this household, we believe in our ability to learn new skills, and we're not quitters. So instead of being very negative and telling myself how I can't do things, I decided to challenge myself to make a short mobile game to prove myself that I can indeed make games. The very first thing that you need is a good name for your game, and I've got here this 3-step rule that you can follow, which will guarantee 100% that your game will be successful. The third rule is that your game title must have 2 words. The second rule is that the first word must be cookie. And then you don't really need a third rule really, because everybody loves cookies, and just by having the keyword in the title of your game, it will automatically go up in the store and it will be suggested to everybody, so it's already successful based on that. So you came up with the name and the story of the game on the 6th of July. The game is called The Cookie Master, and the idea is that you're a small robot called Chip on your quest to become a cookie master. You're sort of a lazy boy and you are pushed to become one by your grandfather, Megabyte, who also is a cookie master. And the idea is pretty simple. You just go around the world to collect cookies, and the more cookies you collect, the more you can explore the world, and at some point, if you collect enough cookies, you become a cookie master. Once I had this simple but cool story, I knew that I wanted this to be a mobile game, and so I thought about the way that you could interact with the game, and then I knew that I just wanted to play around with being able to just move around the world and on how I could make that interesting. Simply collecting cookies is just not that fun, and so I had it in this idea of your battery running out. So basically you go around the world collecting cookies, but you have your battery that runs out pretty fast, and so you also need to find a way to charge your battery up, otherwise you lose the cookies. And then I just went to sleep, and I could not sleep because I had just so many ideas and things that I wanted to work on. Next day, as soon as I woke up, I just started working on the very first art for the game. Instead of creating a palette of my own for the game, I went on Lowspec. Lowspec is a great website if you're looking for a palette for your pixel art game, and I found this one palette from Matt36, which I immediately liked, and so I decided to pick that, and I've been doing all of the art for the game with that one palette. I then had to look for tutorials for the art because I never really drew in this top-down style, and I found some great tutorials from both Mort and Pixel Pete. Mort videos helped a lot with creating the animation for Chip, while Pixel Pete was really helpful for creating the tile set for the game. So the very first thing I did was drawing an animated character that I could use in my first prototype. Then I just worked on the code the whole day. I actually took a day off of work so that I could work on Cookie Master, and I basically coded the majority of the game during that one day of work. Here I also needed some tutorials because I had never made a mobile game before, and I really need to thank Kidscan Code because of his really good series on how to set up your very first mobile game. That helped a ton with setting up a project for a mobile game, as well as the grid-based movement that I'm going to show you in a moment. And I also need to thank Gonki for his joystick tutorial for Godot. Once the learning part was over, I actually worked on the code for the game, and what I did so far is actually quite a lot. Now in the game you can move around in this grid. The movement is just fixed to a grid-based movement. You can collect cookies and have a timer that goes down during the gameplay. And if the timer goes down, the game reloads. I've also added some batteries that you can collect, and so while you move around, you don't only need to collect the cookies, but also the batteries, so that you actually have enough time to collect the cookies. Battery also levels up in some way, because the more cookies you have, the more your max battery goes up. So right now when you start the game, you only have 30 seconds before the battery runs out, but as soon as you get 10 cookies, that battery goes up to 60 seconds, then it goes up to 90, 120, etc. And those are permanent upgrades of your battery. This makes it so that it feels rewarding to actually collect cookies, and you want to collect more cookies so that you have more battery, so that you have more time to collect cookies, etc. And hopefully this will result in an interesting, satisfying gameplay. I've also added some charging stations, which actually work as checkpoints. If you enter the charging station, your battery will go fully up to its max, and your cookies will be saved. So even if your battery runs out, you will be back to these charging stations. And finally, I've added portals, which require a specific number of cookies. The idea here is that you move around the world and you need to find these portals, and you need a certain amount of cookies to actually open these portals. Once you enter these portals, you are teleported to a different area. So this is going to be the main mechanics that you will use to actually go up in levels. I don't really want to have traditional levels. I'd really like to have a more open world sort of approach with a big map and you being able to just move around and collect cookies, and you can go through all the portals. You get to the last area where you finally can become a cookie master. The game is not finished yet, but it's fully playable on my phone. I was actually very surprised to see how easy it is to export games from Godot to Android. So let me just show you what the game looks like on my phone right now. So as you can see, the game is right here on my phone. I've chosen Chip's face to be as the logo of the application. And as I jump in, I still haven't worked on a transition to the game. But as you can see, I jump right into the game. And what I can do is I can move around. Now the joystick to move around is actually anywhere on the phone, wherever you tap. And so it's very cool because you can just move around from by just doing that. And it works very nicely. As you can see here, I've got a charging station. Whenever you enter in, the battery goes up. I'm very proud of that. And we can just move around. You can collect cookies and your cookie thingies goes up there. In here, as you can see, we've got a portal thingy, but we need, oops, there's a problem there. Here, as you can see, we've got a portal thingy, but we need 10 cookies, which we don't have. So what we can do is that we can move around and collect more cookies. Also, as you can see, the speed of Chip actually depends on the color of your battery. So if your battery is green, you are not as fast, but then if it goes yellow or red, you go faster. So that's a nice mechanic that was suggested during the live stream, and I really like that. I've also added trees. I'm very proud of the trees because, as you can see here in terms of the art, you can see that you can go behind it, you can go in front of it, and it's shown correctly. If I go around, we have 10 cookies now, but we need more battery. Let me get a battery right here. Now that we have 10 cookies, let's just go back to the portal. And this is just a simple prototype, but it already works very well. Let's just go back to the portal. And the idea is that you need to just move around and visit the portals. Here, as you can see, the portal has now opened because it's checked that we actually do have enough cookies. And if I go here, I got teleported to a different area of the map. I have 11 cookies here. And yeah, that's the main gameplay so far. I actually need to build an interesting world to explore, but overall, as you can see, the gameplay is here and it works correctly. Actually, we're not far from home, but I got stuck in here because we actually need 15. Right? We need 15 cookies, but I don't have 15 of them. So that's a shame. But as you can see, the game is pretty fun. I really love the art style and the direction that it is going. And yeah, I'm very excited to finally be sharing it with you. Of course, the game is not over yet. I really want to do more art so that it's more interesting to look at. So maybe you can add different areas with different tile set. I really want to take this as an opportunity to learn about this top-down pixel art style. So I'd like to do that. But in terms of gameplay, in terms of mechanics, it's basically done. I'm still thinking of possibly adding a simple enemy that charges at you. And if it hits you, your battery goes down, but I'm not going to add any sort of HP. I really want to keep this game very simple, and so the only two parameters that I'm playing with is the number of cookies and the battery. Once that is done, I will upload it on the store for all of you to play. So expect a part 2 of this. I'm making a mobile game video in which the game will actually be finished and up on the Play Store for you to play. First of all, I'd like to end this video by apologizing for being a little bit dramatic and not being as grateful. I truly appreciate the support that you show every day. We just recently got to 25,000 subscribers, which is just so much, and I still don't understand where you guys come from, but I really needed to find validation within myself first, and the only person who can actually make that is myself. I also wanted to let you know that it's okay sometimes to feel low, to feel like you don't have control. We are all humans after all. And I know that I always try to keep it 100% positive and show how productive and how motivated I am all the time, but sometimes I'm just not, and it's okay. I've now got to a point where I know that my insecurities are part of who I am, and it's very important for me to embrace that. And once I embrace that fully, I know that still I can actively actively prove myself that I can do things. I can actively prove myself that I can win over my insecurities. So if you're also feeling very, very low, maybe you can try to give yourself a little challenge to remind yourself of what you're capable of, because we often forget that. I always forget that. I always forget that if I want it, I'm capable of making things happen. And sometimes that's what we need. We actually need validation from ourselves. And with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and it wasn't too dramatic and over the top, but I'm very happy to let you guys know that I'm feeling so much better and that I'm finally back to making more videos and making more games, and I'm just very excited to share that with you guys. Hope that you all have a great day, and I'll see you all in my next video.